I'm doing well. It was a terrible night last night. It was a really terrible night. The tornadoes in Mississippi were absolutely devastating, and it was horrible because there were people that were, they were saying to put the word out for the people in the oncoming path, because really the tornadoes were really not survivable if they were to have hit your home or where you were staying. So, I mean, we had meteorologists praying, live on air, and it was as awful really as it could be. So these are people that are still the death toll. It doesn't even do any good to talk about it right now because they haven't even made a dent in trying to get it into the areas affected. So just lots of prayers for the people in Mississippi, and hopefully many. Once it got over to the eastern side of Mississippi and into Alabama, hopefully most people had gotten phone calls and had been awakened and were on the road and getting out of the path. But these were storms that unless if you didn't have an underground shelter or in a very strong brick and mortar building, it's pretty horrible. So if you're on my Twitter and you see me commenting and talking about that, that's what I'm referring to. All right. So other than that, there's so many things to talk about. First thing is, if you can hear me, would you put a 1, please? Prayers for Mississippi. Sad for Mississippi. So glad to see you. Good to see you too, Texas Lassie. Welcome. Howdy, Texas. I can't believe Houston is empty today because apparently there's a big Trump rally in where's it at? I don't know, somewhere in Texas. Oh, Waco. And so tons of people out this morning, even last night, that had these huge Trump signs and they had their trucks all loaded up and they're leaving town. So yeah, so there's not me and Texas Lassie are the only two that are not doing politics today. Mamma mia, how are you? Welcome. All right, Cinnamon, hot. Hey, Barbara, Eddie, how are you doing? Jackie Hughes. Jackie Hughes was the first one here today. Annette Graff, welcome. All right, and Tammy from Texas is not doing politics today, as are I and Texas Lassie. Okay. Did you go to the rodeo? I did not go to the rodeo. I love the rodeo, and I try to go at least once or twice every season, every year. This year, impossible. The tons of work going on and other responsibilities that I don't really want to talk about, on air. But I've had a really difficult time just putting some videos out to try to keep my channel alive. it's hanging on, white knuckling it, but I had about a month where I really didn't post, and I just wasn't just not able. If you can't do it, you can't do it. And I had some other stuff going on, so my channel is struggling. So I hope you guys will help me by sharing it, leaving comments underneath the videos, turning the videos and letting them play all the way through while you watch a movie or something like that would be a big help. Just something to kind of wake up the internet, the algorithm, and say, oh no, look, allegedly innocent is alive and well. So I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tornadoes are worse when they come at night. Next year, let's connect. My hubby is committee man, and you can go with us. I would go. Yes, I would totally go. That would be so fun. Yes, and I love we love the Astros games, and I've got a couple of friends that are a part of that group. So, all right. So there's so many choices for topics, conversations today, and so I really had to struggle to make a decision on what I wanted to talk about. And first of all, Gwyneth Paltrow. I do want to make a video about that whole trial thing because I got some thoughts about the good doctor. I gotta tell you, I'm thinking that the good doctor may have the hots for Gwyneth. I think he may be. I think this may have been I think his lawsuit may have been a Valentine for Gwyneth. I think he's trying to get close to her and be her friend. And maybe that's the only way, that he could think about doing. He does look like he was probably a really handsome man, or I mean, he is a handsome man now, but anyway, I'll do a video on that because watching his body language and watching his, like when she's talking, there is no animosity there, people. I'm telling you. So I'm going to do that because it's kind of funny. Hey, Debbie, worked in social services my whole life. Just say no to Trump. Okay. She drinks the bone broth. She is so weird. She drinks bone broth? Yeah, I don't know. You gotta think about like Harry. Okay, so Harry he's captured my attention. He's always been my favorite. Okay, he really has. But I do think that he's being terribly manipulated by Meghan Markle. And I think that the way he was raised really kind of put him into this position that, he was just an easy target for someone like Meghan Markle. And now I think, look, they're done. Y'all know that, right? They'll never recover. After that South Park, they're finished. I don't think they wanted, I think Harry wanted obscurity. I think Harry would be very happy not to be in the limelight. There is no way in hell Meghan Markle wanted to be away from all the lights and the glitz and the glamour and the designer clothes. No. She thought, okay, with my fame, my acting ability on Suits, and then I have a handsome prince on my arm. I'm going to be the next Nicole Kidman. I'm going to be Queen of Hollywood. I believe she thought that. I really do believe she thought that. And she it's a terrible match. Personality-wise, she and Harry, it's not a love connection. Okay. So no, I think she has some ulterior motives. I hate to tell you that, Harry, but I think you got snookered, big guy. And I think you ought to collect your wits and go home to the family that loves you. But they haven't asked me. So, all right. So, what I want to talk about in this video is I want to talk about, thank goodness that Scottie Morris has been found safe. Correct? So he's got, let me try to get this where y'all can see it. Oh, he's still not show it. Hold on. Okay, why? There we go. Okay, now y'all can see his face. There you. Oh, I hate the way that it keeps putting the banner up there. New York Post. Let's lose the banner, man. Okay, here we go. Maybe that'll work. Yeah, that works. Okay. So Scottie Morris, 14 years old, 5'4", and if you see him, call 911. Okay, so I don't know. I had kind of some flashes of the blue bicycle helmet, blue clothes, bicycle clothes kind of thing. But nevertheless, so he's been found, and it's curious, okay? It's curious because supposedly he was found with his mother. What? How is that possible? But even more disturbing, if he's actually found with his mother, then why is he in the same humiliating clothing? I have some questions here. So so the parents, or let me say the mother has basically admitted to the police that they were using humiliation, that this whole shirt, I'm a liar and I cheat and blah blah blah, that it was done purposefully. uh, and I've seen some people come out, some mental health experts and such, come out and say, well, it is quite, uh, what did they say, it's quite a non-traditional, it's an unconventional parenting tool. And I'm going, no, it's not. It's good old fashioned punishment. It's part, it is what happens when you use punishment, which is you do something that decreases the likelihood of a behavior occurring again in the future. And so it's good old, just behavioral conditioning. Um, and it's actually one that political people seem to really like in this day and age. I think it's horrible. I hate it. And it has some real costs that are connected to it. Now, if you're like a special forces guy, or you do, questioning for the military, then you are quite familiar with this tool or this tactic of punishment in order to shape some behavior that makes you happy. And if you are that person, then the behavior making you happy is the person's willing to reveal information that they might not otherwise be willing to reveal. But in this case, it would appear that the mother was trying to use shame and public shame and humiliation to change the kid's behavior. That apparently he was doing some negative behaviors that they didn't like, and they wanted him to stop doing it. And I got a lot of problems with using shame and humiliation with children, especially, but even in the political realm. There's a YouTuber. His channel name is Scientific Skeptic, and I think he's a professor. He's an educated person. I think he's a professor or something. But anyway, he he's got a small channel, and he tells the people on his channel that they have to use public shaming and humiliation against YouTube creators to make us behave. He doesn't like the way we talk about true crime. Mm-mm. But he hasn't stopped for a moment to think, my goodness, you're being a little arrogant and narcissistic to think that your way is the only way. You know what I mean? You might want to tread lightly with the shame and humiliation. And that's with a bunch of adults. Okay. So I think he was particularly offensive and gross where Zav Girl was concerned. Zav Girl is a great person. She's an amazing person. I found that so bizarre when he went after her like he did. But nevertheless, so using public humiliation and shame for a kid, especially a teenager that is in the middle of a developmental period in their life where it's very important to be a part of a group. Affiliation is a primary need they have. And he would be, in the best of circumstances, he would be in a period of time in his life where his identity was forming and beginning to gel. And so by using this whole public humiliation thing, you're creating a lot of problems there. And so that is the focus of my video today. I do talk about true crime. I do rather enjoy looking at the various personalities of the people accused of these crimes and whatnot. But I also try to find a bit of an intersect, with psychology or sociology, because that is my training, my field, my professional field. So Scottie Morris, 14 years old, and he went missing on March the 16th, and it was about 8:30 at night in Indiana. He's from Eaton, Indiana, and the cops, even now, as of yesterday, they were asking people to start looking at their security cameras and whatnot, looking between the hours of 8:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. The night of the 16th. I guess somehow they ended up with some additional information and found out that, Scottie had walked away from his house, and his mother claimed that he was upset when he left. They ran across some video that maybe that wasn't exactly accurate. And so they put out this call for security camera. Everybody look and see if you've got it, that kind of thing. So a lot of people were really disturbed by this t-shirt that you're seeing in this video, and bits and pieces of the t-shirt. It says, "I'm a liar. I hurt my little brother. I cheat my something." I don't know what the cheat is. And then it says, "Because I felt something," being something. Up in the top right, if you look right up here, there's like a little sad emoji face and tears that are falling. But more important, I want you to look at Scottie's face. I want you to look at his face. Now, part of me wonders, do they shave his head as part of this humiliation and shame? Is this one of the ways that they make him embarrassed and they try to control his behavior by making him embarrassed? But is that why his head was shaved? Maybe not. Maybe they just like it. Maybe he likes it short. That's possible. But look at his face. His nose is really red. He does, in fact, look like he's been crying. And for a 14-year-old boy, it's not altogether common. He looks a bit red, across the top lip, which would be consistent with crying. He's a little bit splotchy red here. And I feel a little bit disturbed about this area right here. If you notice, it looks really purpley blue here, and then you could almost see swelling right there. See right there? And then over here. There's something purple here. It could be just a big zit, but his lip also looks very swollen. Let me zoom in here. I'm not on my touch screen computer, so I'm having to do everything manually, so it's a bit slow. But look at his lip. See right there? Also up high. This side is different, and I'm glad that they use this, because it shows that's not his normal. That there is something wrong with the lip here. His nose is super red here. It's splotchy, but then you've got apparent swelling here, and it looks a bit bruised, coming through here. So I, for one, am very, very grateful that he does look like a very, very sad child. Absolutely. Kat says that Scottie requested the haircut at Pro Clips. Okay, thank you. Yeah, some kids do like it shaved super short like that. That's true. But anyway, so there are some. The picture is upsetting because of the whole shaming and public humiliation, which I am categorically 100% against the use of shame and humiliation as a behavior control tool. There's a lot better way. I'm notice I didn't say I'm against punishment, and I am talking about punishment as a psychological construct. I'm not against punishment. I don't like punishment. I'd rather do behavior change through reward, positive reinforcement, for a lot of reasons. It is the person. It more easily generalizes across conditions. It's more long lasting and becomes a part of behavior. One of the biggest problems you have by using punishment is that the agent of the punisher has to be in the room for it to be effective. So it's just not the best use of punishment is to get someone's attention. But as soon as you get their attention, then you really need to go into a reinforcement contingency to bring about, real change that is consistent and long lasting. So, but I'm never ever for public humiliation and shaming. I'm against it in every contingency. I'm against it. Period. Especially thinking that you're very special and you can go online and shape true crime creators' behavior by trying to embarrass them and humiliate them. It's too arrogant. It's too narcissistic. And who are you to decide who's doing it the right way? There's many really great creators. So not a good thing to do. Okay, so I'm a bit concerned about the t-shirt, but I also am concerned about the picture itself, in that he does look like it was more than simple humiliation. So the mother, she did do she made a pleading for his safe return. She sounded like she was crying, but it didn't appear to be. There's a lot of people that were moved, and they felt like she was being very sincere, and that she was really concerned about him. There were also that group that thought that it was manipulative and that she really was acting. I'm not going to take a position either one. I don't know, but I think there's enough red flags in place that I was very grateful to hear that Scottie had been put into protective foster care for the time being, as the CPS and the police try to sort this out and figure out exactly what went on with Felicia. Yeah, her name's Felicia. Felicia and Brian Morris. What exactly went on that prompted them to take a 14-year-old boy and wear a shirt that looked bad? The parents were never considered suspect, and they took polygraph tests and they passed with no issue. So in some ways it seems curious that he's found with his mother. How did that happen? If she doesn't know anything about what happened to him, then how is it he's found, what was it, 8 days later, right? 8 days later, and he's with his mom and he's wearing the original shirt. Maybe he reached out to his mother first. Maybe he called his mom and said, I'm here, I'm a runaway. Will you come pick me up? And she called 911. We don't know. We're still kind of waiting, for that information. So the aunt, Felicia's sister, has definitely spoken out in support of the parents. 1 minute, I need a drink. Sorry, Mom. Wet my whistle. And so the aunt has come out in support of the parents and said that they're great parents and they love Scottie very much. And we were told by the authorities that Scottie was in extreme danger and that he would need medical assistance, but we were never exactly told why. I do wonder if perhaps he's on the spectrum. And if he's on the spectrum, then even more so, your silly public shame and humiliation isn't going to work. Frankly, I'm embarrassed that there is an educated person on YouTube that is promoting this type of behavior. Oh, well, if you don't like something someone's saying, just try to shame them and humiliate them and make them start doing what you want them to do. I just find it really kind of arrogant. But with a child, a 14-year-old, whether he's on the spectrum or not, it's just completely inappropriate. Now, why is it inappropriate? Well, hold on just a minute. I lost where did my notes go? Sorry about that. I wrote up what I wanted to say. So, okay. So why am I so dead set against public humiliation and shame as a behavior control tool, whether it's with children or adults or any? I'm 100% against it. I don't want it being used like with prisoners of war. I'm 100% against it. But I'm very much in support of the proper type of punishment, and then moving into positive reinforcement at the first opportunity. Well, that's because we have a lot of research that shows that public shaming does have pretty significant negative psychological effects. It can have devastating consequences depending on the background and prior experiences of the subject that you are manipulating, punishing. If these people come from an environment where they've already collected multiple traumatic experiences and they have not resolved any of the previous trauma, and you get that additive effect of multiple traumas, if you try using public shame and humiliation, you may very well tip the scales into an arena that, well, you could cause a person to make some devastating decisions about their life. And I wonder if that particular YouTube creator has considered that as he promotes this idea of publicly shaming and humiliating just true crime creators that are these are not terrible people that he's targeting. These, like that girl, these are pretty nice people. Why in the world do you think you have the right to manipulate them? And isn't there some level of ethics for a person who is educated? Do you have a certain responsibility to the knowledge that you've gained throughout, your educational path? Don't you have some kind of level of ethics not to use that knowledge to harm another person? And you are harming people when you use public shame and humiliation. So I would just challenge people that are on YouTube, creators and such, to try to remember that there's other ways to deal with situations than, to be kind of vicious in your attacks. It need to be careful about how you treat people. But anyway, so if experiencing public shame and humiliation can have some serious psychological effects. Symptoms that can come from humiliation and shame, apathy is a big one. I challenge you to look at this picture of Scottie Morris. Do you see apathy? Do you see a child that looks like he may be ready to shut down and give up? Because I do. And he's only 14 years old. If he is, in fact, on the spectrum and he's been exposed to these type of tactics, he may not have the ability at all to even understand why he's being subjected to this humiliation. One thing we know, if somebody is on the spectrum, positive reinforcement is very effective. Very effective. Use reinforcement for the behaviors that you want to see And then let the behaviors you don't want to see, let them extinguish. Don't show them any attention. Don't draw attention to them. So apathy is a big one. You can create paranoia or overwhelming anxiety, fear. You can cause withdrawal, agoraphobia. These are horrible conditions to try to treat later on in life. And as I said before, if this is someone who's already been exposed to trauma or multiple traumas throughout their lifetime, they have the additive effects of all of this anxiety and trauma, you could be tipping someone over either into harm against themselves or lashing out harm against others with rage and fury. There's a very fine line between wishing death upon yourself and wishing death upon another. It's a fine line. When we assess for suicide, it's an assessment for suicide homicide. It's not just one or the other. If you're willing to be homicidal towards another, you're also probably having a history of harming yourself, and vice versa. So we need to be very. How many of these mass shootings have resulted in suicide? The rage is rage, anger is anger, and whether you turn it at yourself or you turn it out towards others, it's still destructive. And so I'm frankly, if you're an educated person, why would you want to promote a group of people to publicly attack an individual with public shame and humiliation so that they only talk about what you want them to talk about? So they quit talking about true crime and make a channel doing something else. Why would you want to do that? You have no idea what these other creators or subscribers have experienced in their life. You have no idea whether one of these creators has been a military, is a veteran, and that this is the way they've chosen to try to make a living and still deal with their mental health issues related to having done 5 tours, in Afghanistan. You don't know. And so when you call on a group of people to start targeting that individual and going after them with you're creating a flying monkey army is what you're doing. And it's gonna come back and hurt people. You need to stop and give people their own, let them stay in their own lane and do their channels as they wish. They'll find the people that like them, who like that content, and you make your own content, hopefully one that won't be hurting, others. All right. Whew, I got to get down off that soap opera. Okay, hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. Okay, now I'm back. Let me go back to my writing. Okay, so seeking revenge coming from rage is very similar to wanting to hurt yourself. So either of these situations would be devastating if it all happened because you decided to use public humiliation as a form of punishment. Now, the major aim of using public humiliation or punishment is to change behavior. But you got to ask yourself, if people start using punishment without it being planned, like without them being able to state the goal for behavior, like what do they want? I want this person to show respect to their brother or their sister. That's a goal. Without a goal, if a person's just using punishment, well, really all they're doing is they're just embracing their anger. They're having a temper tantrum in a grown-up body. And that is where child abuse occurs, which is why I'm very concerned about Scottie Morris's forehead and, red nose and whatnot. If they're willing to go as far as to take a t-shirt and write this publicly humiliating stuff, did they send this child to school? wearing that t-shirt? I'm going to be willing to say yes. They took a photograph of him. Did they post it on social media? These are terribly damaging behaviors for anyone to do to another person. But when the punisher is a person that's in a position of trust, then you've got betrayal on top of the shame and humiliation. So we need to really move back away from using punishment unless we know what we're doing. And the punishment is a very small, just a time limited tool to get their attention, and then immediately go to reinforcement. I can't say that enough. You've got to reward the good behavior and ignore the bad behavior. When you ignore the bad behavior, then the bad behavior will extinguish. I promise. People don't want to hurt others. If someone is hurting another person, it's because they themselves are hurt. That's the truth. You may not understand why they're hurt. It may be something from their childhood that's bothering them. Something about you may trigger what's hurting them, and they may take it out on you, and you may be like, why are you picking on me? I don't know you. But for sure, if someone's being mean to another person, it's because they themselves were harmed. So these parents may be trying to do the best they can do. They just don't know how to they don't know how to use reward and reinforcement. Maybe they grew up with parents that only spanked and humiliated, so they don't know any other way. I'm hoping that when they do a rehabilitation, when they talk about unifying the family, I hope that they'll require these parents to go to parenting classes and then have supervised visitation with a therapist or psychologist that will train the parents how to use reinforcement and reward. And then again, if he's on the spectrum, they also need to be educated for how he thinks and how he processes information. All right. I think I'm done. It is true that our military does use punishment. Negative reinforcement. Ooh, negative reinforcement can be brutal. But all right. Okay, 1 minute. I've got somebody calling me. Hold on. Did I lose y'all? No, there it is. Hold on 1 minute. I've got a phone. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, let me take a few minutes and look. My timing was perfect. I said I wanted this to be 30 minutes. It's right at 30 minutes. Yay. Okay. Public shaming destroys self-esteem. Absolutely. Destroys self-worth. Reputation. Discipline is not effective without rapport. Absolutely true, truth seeker. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. Parents should be playing games with their children. They should be taking walks with them, teaching them. Oh, got something on my mind. All right. So try to remember this. Better to treat people well and be friendly and kind and give instruction rather than to try to shame people and take their identity from them. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. I'll be back later on. I want to talk about Gwyneth Paltrow and the Good Doctor. I think he's in love.